Welcome to C4 Talks with Garrett and Lincoln. Lincoln, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Basically, some news has been going around about Mr. Tom Holland.
Spider-Man?
Yeah. Something that apparently for the past 2 days has fooled the entirety of the internet.
Because whatever you see on the internet has to be true.
Exactly. And I read about it about 2 days ago on some website that I knew had to have been fake. Was some website called Clickhole.
Clickhole. And you read that article?
And I read this article.
I haven't heard anything about this at all yet.
So apparently, according to this article, Tom Holland recently quit Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely left the Marvel MCU. Was just done. And the reason why was because Stan Lee apparently kept harassing Tom Holland with facts about how Spider-Man can shoot a watery liquid out of his neck.
Really? That's the best reason that he could have left the MCU right there.
Yeah, but apparently he was, according to the article, Stan Lee was calling Tom Holland at like 3 a.m. in the morning just to tell him about this watery liquid.
Did you know that Spider-Man can shoot watery liquid out of his neck?
He was trying
I wrote it in a story once.
Apparently, he specified one time in a story that Tom Holland himself is quoting here.
Yeah.
This is real at this time
of
reading this article.
For those few moments.
For the first few seconds, I feel like I'm being fooled.
This is a real news story.
And I pressed on, and the story was Stan Lee was specifically talking to Tom Holland about how he wanted to rewrite the scene where Uncle Ben dies and just have Peter Parker shooting a watery fluid out of his neck while it's happening into Uncle Ben's mouth or some shit like that.
That's the point where I would have been like, this isn't real. This isn't real life anymore.
I'm amazed how just a little while later I find people are actually being serious about this.
And they actually believe this is exactly why the MCU has been ruined.
I mean, just
for those 2 days, everybody's like, this is facts, and now the MCU is never going to be the same.
And it's so weird because I tried to do research on it to figure out.
And you can find anything.
Like,
no other knowledge.
All I found was just the articles. I was trying to figure out, did Tom Holland leave the MCU? And apparently, in reality,
nothing actually happened.
Well, apparently he is leaving the MCU after these Avengers movies or some shit like that.
Well, they already have it scheduled that he's going to be the first movie in Phase 1 is going to be the next Spider-Man movie. So he's at least going to be in the next two Avengers and then Phase 4.
I don't know. I guess I can't believe anything now.
You can't believe anything. No articles are real. That's why I just don't go on I don't click on Facebook articles because they're usually just viruses and fake news
or some stupid quiz that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and then you get it, and then it just gives you a virus on your phone.
Jesus, it pisses me off because there'll be articles that will get a lot of publicity.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, this has to be like all those fake Planet articles that aren't true at all.
Like the famous Ebola zombie.
Yeah, all that bullshit. That's all just complete garbage on Facebook most of the time. Just try to stay off of that and just watch actual good sources and watch your movies and make your own opinions and podcast about it.
Yeah, I agree. People should speak the truth.
I'm very excited for the next few Marvel movies.
Really?
There's lots of good stuff going on. The next Avengers movie looks amazing.
Oh yeah. Thanos finally coming down.
Yeah, now he's a different color for some reason.
He's purple.
I know, but there's a huge thing on the internet right now about how he's changing shades of color. Like
really?
in the first Avengers, he's a very vibrant dark purple, and now he's almost pink. And each time you see him, he's a different shade of color, and they just keep there's just a whole I didn't read the whole thing, but it's a whole new theory for something about how his colors mean something.
How do you think Robert Downey Jr. is gonna fall out of the MCU?
I think exactly the visions he keeps having in the second Avengers movie and in Iron Man 3, where like they're all dead for a second.
You think his character's gonna die?
Yeah, of course he's gonna die, but I think he's gonna sacrifice. They're all like Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man are probably all gonna die, and Hulk too. And then the new Avengers or the new cast is what's gonna be left. But I think that all of them are gonna die, but Robert Downey Jr. Then he's gonna use the time stone thing that Doctor Strange has and bring them all back for a second and change it, but he's gonna die in the process. And then they're gonna be what's left. And I think Thor is going to sacrifice himself like we see in the trailer where he's holding the big lever thing.
I heard a theory that Wakanda was going to get destroyed.
Well, yeah, that's where the last stone has to be, because Panther can talk to the spirits and stuff. I'm not very I'm not as I'm not as familiar with the Black Panther stuff, but
I try to keep on top of the comics. So
yeah, that's why that's like the most like
I just try to keep up on the knowledge as much as possible, just so I know going into the movie what we're seeing.
Exactly, but most of this thing I've read is that the spirit gem or something will be there, and that's why he's able to talk to the god.
Soul gem.
Yeah, the soul gem. That's what it is.
You know Adam Warlock.
Yeah, they make a reference to him at the end of the Guardians movie.
Yeah, I finally saw that.
He's like the most important part of the Infinity War storyline, so it makes sense that they would have him in there.
Do you think he's going to make an appearance in the first Avengers movie?
He might at the end.
Or the second one after this?
He might at the end, because at the preview, they could have done the same kind of thing where in Avengers 2, they have the preview scene where they're all together in one part, and they leave out Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Vision. There's a part where they're there, but in the preview they're not there in the same scene, so they could have left out and have Adam Warlock with them and many other characters, like in that charging scene where they're in Wakanda up against, so they could have just have them all like CGI'd out because they don't want to spoil who they're going to bring in. They could have done something like that.
I'm surprised Thor didn't die in Thor Ragnarok, the storyline where he's literally supposed to die.
Yeah, because we talked about that, because they're all supposed to die and then come back and be humans.
The fucking theory I had that didn't turn out to be true.
Yeah, it didn't turn out to be true at all. But that happens when you make theories.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
just fun to think about and suggest what might happen, but it's always up to somebody else.
I don't know.
I very much enjoyed Thor Ragnarok as one of the best superhero movies of that year.
For me, Thor Ragnarok was kind of like...
It was completely different from everything, but I like how some directors will they'll get an idea and they'll have their own way with it, and it comes out really great on the other end.
I really felt like Thor Ragnarok was just a Thor movie, but if they implemented all of Guardians of the Galaxy style.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt too, but I guess that's how Spider-Man kind of felt too, some ways. Like, it felt like the Guardians of the Galaxy CGI and comedy duo.
I don't know, it seems a little, I don't want to say lazy.
Yeah, it was a very filler movie, of course, but I liked how it was funny. It was really funny. It added some story arc to Hulk.
Yeah.
It did the whole plan.
It upped Thor's power, I guess.
Yeah, I liked that part a lot, and then I liked how he lost his eye like Odin.
That was like the one thing I got right about the theory, was that he was gonna get umped up in power.
Yeah, without his hammer. Now that he's unlocked because he doesn't have a handicap.
He's like Gohan that fully realized his hidden potential.
Instead of going Super Saiyan, now he's just Super Saiyan power in normal form.
Exactly. I know the Hulk was like there and he played a bit of a big role.
And yeah. You want your own Hulk movie?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm still waiting on a Hulk movie.
They're not going to, because the Universal has the rights and blah 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 blah. But they said that they're gonna have, this is gonna be the first part, like Avengers 2. This. And
he's gonna set up his storylines.
Yeah, his little storylines. He's gonna have like his own arc in both of the next Avengers movies. Like his movies are the Avengers movies pretty much.
Okay.
All together will be like Avengers 1, Avengers 2, this Thor Ragnarok, Hulk, or Avengers 2 or 3 and 4 will all be his story arc, because they don't have the exact rights to make his own movie.
Dude, I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll happen until Disney buys everybody and becomes the monopoly of movie businesses.
I gotta be honest, I did not.
How do you feel about the Fox deal?
I'm glad that finally
The X-Men can
The
be part of
X-Men
the X-Men and Fantastic Four can finally have great movies.
Yeah, they're
I
finally.
liked
gonna
the
be
last
doing
few
justice.
X. Yeah, I liked the first X-Men movie of the trilogy and some of the Wolverine movies maybe. But I liked the newer X-Men movies a lot. Like Days of Future Past was great in First Class.
I really like almost anything that had Wolverine in it.
Yeah, Logan was incredible.
Logan was really cool. Like, it blew me like right out of my fucking seat.
I cried twice.
Dude,
And when Professor X and Wolverine die, I cried both times.
Dude, it was so freaking powerful.
It was like one of the best movies. Like just not even a good superhero movie. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, like it transcends the superhero genre.
Yeah, it's like one of those old gangster movies where when the good guy dies at the end.
It's kind of like how people viewed The Dark Knight when The Dark Knight came out.
Because it was just good, like The Dark Knight and.
Because it was just good storytelling.
It's just a good Christopher Nolan movie, but it also happens to be Batman.
Yeah, and it's just basically a good crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
It transcends the general superhero genre.
And Dark Knight is like is just an altogether great movie.
Yeah, I don't think Marvel.
All of Christopher Nolan's movies are usually great.
I want to say that while Fox was able to accomplish something like that, and they've had their own litany of grand hits,
grand hits and misses,
and all these different other kind of fuck ups. But when it came to whenever they did hit their mark, like bullseye right on the dot, they really nailed it.
Yeah.
And even though Marvel Universe is like Disney and shit like that are credited with having more consistently good movies, I don't think any single just lone one of them has hit such a high note as something like Logan or something like The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but
even though like they're more consistently good,
they're
like,
just all around good movies.
Yeah, but like what's weird is I think even though you had the ups and downs of Fox, like you had a lot of like weird ups and downs.
But Fox has lots and lots of good movies.
Yeah, like that's the thing. They balance themselves out in a weird way.
2000s Fox, way better. Like Memento and Independence Day, Fight Club, all of those wonderful, great movies that will be around forever.
And then having shitty Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, and then having I like the first Fantastic Four. I don't know why anybody would say that was bad.
Probably just because
I think the second one just ruined the entire credibility and like anything that they had in the first one, and everybody just put them together.
And I was really upset by that because when I saw the trailers for the 2015 version, I was hype as fuck to see Miles Teller.
I saw it.
Mr. Fantastic.
No, I saw it. I saw the trailers and I immediately said nope. And then I was completely right. Nobody liked it. Everybody who saw it wanted their money back. They just can't do a good Fantastic Four at Fox, and that's why they're just going to throw them into the next Avengers series or whatever.
I just can't wait.
I'm excited for the new Fox merger because we get all of the X-Men. We get Galactus, who can be a great Avengers bad guy.
That could be done so much better under Disney's.
Oh my god, rules. Terrible Silver Surfer, terrible Galactus and Fantastic Four.
I always wondered to myself, whenever Disney finally transfers over all the shit and they start getting into some motion and they have to like obviously show the Silver Surfer because he's so integrated into the Fantastic Four's history.
Into all of them, and he even fights Hulk in Planet Hulk.
The design is I would hate to be the design coordinator that has to come up.
And then if you mess it up even a little bit, you're screwed.
I mean, because basically it's a guy that is entirely silver all over his body, white eyes, just like one of the most basic outlines for like any character, and just a normal plain ass silver surfboard.
Yeah, but he has to be the best. He has to be everything that he's set up to be in the comic books.
I know.
Which is like all powerful and majestic.
It's just like I would hate to, like, it's gonna be so hard for people not to look at that Silver Surfer and not always think of the other Silver Surfer because their designs are gonna be so similar.
He's gonna be exactly the same, pretty much, just with a different voice actor.
Yeah, different, but maybe like a different body type.
Yeah,
because they're gonna be a little bit practical with it. They're gonna just paint somebody silver.
Maybe they'll have a different character altogether and just have him completely different from the other one.
Yeah, they might just leave him right the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I would, after they used him already, I would use a Galactus that looks like Galactus and is not just a giant space storm.
Yeah. I feel like Galactus is pretty necessary.
He's
like for
definitely...
any Fantastic... Like, there's few Fantastic Four people, I think, that are associated with the Fantastic Four.
And it's
really
usually
deserve
Doctor
to be
Doom.
carried over. Yeah, it's Doctor Doom. Galactus is one of them.
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer, just because that's how...
Who did they even fight in the newest Fantastic Four?
Doctor Doom.
Is it Doctor Doom?
It's always Doctor Doom.
It's always Doctor Doom.
It's literally in every single movie. It's always Doctor Doom. I think it's the only two I can think of off the top of my head are Doctor Doom and Galactus, and those are already like the two. Hold on.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you. And those are like the only two big villains they had in any of those movies.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for you to really consider what would be a popular villain, because you always think to yourself, if it didn't appear in the movies, it's definitely not something that is worth mentioning at first. Like, it's not the forefront of what you should be looking at. And there's only like a few other like I think Black Panther, but that's already like happening.
Yeah.
Because Black Panther was introduced through Fantastic Four. And I just feel bad because I know how important, because I know the history in the comics. I know how important the Fantastic Four family is to the history of Marvel Comics. Because if it weren't for the Fantastic Four,
they're very early on. They're the first superhero team.
Yeah. If you wanted to introduce a new character in a Marvel Comics, you introduced it through the Fantastic Four. Because they were so fucking popular.
Then Wolverine was originally a Hulk bad guy that was supposed to be a one-shot bad guy.
I mean, like, it's amazing that now, years and years later, after the initial, like, 1960s introduction or whatever, we're now in the age of movies where superheroes are alive and well in Hollywood, and you have the most ironic twist where it's the exact opposite, and now the Fantastic Four have to be introduced
through other people,
through the people that in the comics were originally introduced through them. Yeah,
it's reversed because they didn't transition well the first few times they tried, and now they're just having to sell the rights to somebody else.
Dude, if anything, I can say that I'm highly excited to see the X-Men movie where the X-Men and the Avengers fight each other.
Yeah, if they can definitely do it right, it would be amazing.
Like, that would be... Like, it doesn't even have to be over something, like, super grandiose. Like, as long as you just have a scene where the X-Men and the Avengers fight each other, you have me. You have my money.
You have my money. Just make a movie where they fight each other at the beginning.
Literally.
And they all team up at the end for a great fight against somebody really cool.
Like a team up of, like, Magneto and Doctor Doom or some shit.
Some crazy shit where the world's ending.
Galactus is coming down, dude. This is where we introduce Galactus.
Galactus is coming. Silver Surfer is coming from a different galaxy to help us. All of the X-Men are together. All of the Avengers are together. People are dying left and right. We made a whole universe all together for this one battle. It'd be crazy. That's how the new Avengers movies kind of feel. Already, because it's like, we've been building up this universe since Iron Man in 2008.
Yeah.
And now Thanos is here.
Yeah.
Our plan is come to full turn, and we got the next few movies to celebrate, and then it's gonna be gone.
Like, this is how we end this era of Marvel movies.
And now we got a whole 20 more to go, and we just got a shit ton more.
Like, it's amazing because this really is like the new form of comics.
Yeah, and it's
like the media has shifted so successfusly into film because any single time one of these movies comes out, people go and see it.
Yeah, it's money.
It literally makes I can't exaggerate enough. Every single time one of these Marvel movies comes out, millions of dollars are made
for everybody involved.
They beat out
except for Justice League.
Justice League was. I can't even.
It's not. I wouldn't even. Millions of dollars for everybody, though.
I'm amazed how, because I've observed this amongst fellow moviegoers when it came to all the superhero movies that came out this past year, like the big ones like Spider-Man Homecoming,
Logan.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Logan,
Thor
Ragnarok. Like, that was like the biggest one we ended the year on.
Yeah, that's the one I went and saw more than I saw any of the other ones, I think.
Exactly.
It's that and Star Wars.
I mean, there was Wonder Woman earlier in the year.
Yeah, and that was wonderful.
But
I think the top one would be Logan, though.
But yeah, Marvel movies again dominated the market this year. I mean, like,
Of
Jesus
course.
Christ, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You said it right there.
Yeah.
That is the number one cash cow of comics.
They've made fucking 6 movies with 3 different actors, and every single one of them highly successful. Even the bad Tobey Maguire ones, highly successful.
I keep comparing Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Justice League, like, side by side.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is so much better a team superhero movie.
Than Justice League? Really?
It blows it out of the water.
I haven't
It's
seen
so
Justice
much more,
League either.
like, genuinely funny.
Yeah.
It's so...
I thought it was one of the best sequels of any of the Marvel movies, because
yeah,
Captain America was the only other one that had a good sequel.
Captain
And
America's had
Thor
some pretty good sequels.
Thor 2 sucked.
Yeah. Iron Man 2 was
It
not my favorite.
It was not as poor.
Iron Man 3 was kind of a letdown.
Well, the Iron Man 3 is like the worst of the Marvel movies at the moment. Of the new ones, I believe.
Ant-Man's pretty good.
I loved Ant-Man, actually. I thought it was
I love how
great...
Ant-Man finally appeared in Civil War. Like, that, I didn't expect that.
I
to be
loved...
honest.
Civil War is like one of the most... is like one of my favorite of the Marvel movies, because it goes from comedy to really serious,
Yeah.
big twist at the
It
end.
gets really serious.
It gets really, really deep, and I wasn't expecting it, and it just got me.
I mean, like...
And then it has one of the best fight scenes in any of the Marvel movies, where they're all fighting each other like Civil War type. They didn't use any of the original story, but it's okay. They went their own way with it. It felt like an Avengers movie.
Yeah, I like how they make these adaptions, because obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not like an exact carbon copy of what happens in the comics. It's its own... They've said multiple times it's its own alternate universe. I don't know what the Earth number is.
Yeah, but it's just its own thing.
That's what they do.
They're allowed to do that because all the comic books done that for generations already.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So they can do whatever they want.
And then they could bring like the fucking Infinite Earths or whatever. Or is that DC? I think
that's DC.
That is DC. But
Now,
they have where all the universes crash on each other in Marvel, I'm sure, at some point.
Dude, Civil War was even one of those movies that, compared to the DC movie that came out literally around the exact same month as it, Batman v Superman,
destroyed it.
I can't
even get 30 minutes into it because it was like, oh, another Batman origin story. It's not like we haven't seen that 30,000 times in the last few years.
It's one of those movies where I can just sum it up by saying it gets these two characters literally the entire universe has been waiting to see on film fight each other for years and years and years and years.
Has 2 hours
ever since
of
Christopher
nonsense.
Reeve Superman has all this contrived bullshit, and it twists everything together, and it just lazily slaps everybody in the face just to get some bullshit story across, just to have the thing we've always wanted to see. And even though it doesn't matter how cool it looks,
it's bullshit.
We don't give a shit.
Yeah, we just wanted to fight, but you didn't even try to give us a story to go along with it.
Like, we need to have investment in these characters, in their motivations.
Not a single bit. You're just like, oh, that was okay.
It is the prime example. No. Justice League is the prime example
of the
but
most
Batman
lazy.
v Superman started this shit.
Yeah.
Where DC, in comparison to Marvel and the stuff Marvel was pumping out, I mean, all those killers that year, like, all I can think of off the top of my head, was Captain America: Civil War,
Ant-Man.
2016, Ant-Man. Doesn't matter. The point is,
one of the X-Men movies, probably.
Yeah, like X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Deadpool. There you go.
Yeah.
That Marvel movie right there, dominating the shit.
Basically,
what
Disney's gonna keep the R rating for Deadpool in the next one.
Good.
So they're gonna have a whole R-rated section of Disney now.
good.
For movies, they say that only movies that deserve and can only be told in R ratings, such as like movies like Logan or Deadpool, where they couldn't be told any other way.
Like the Punisher
TV
show.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was awesome.
Dude.
It did the most justice to Punisher so far.
I thought
it was wonderful.
I
love all of the Netflix MCUs as well.
I fanboyed so hard over this
show.
show.
Justice League and Punisher came out at the same day, and I stayed at home and watched Punisher instead.
Yeah, same. That's what everybody did. That's Marvel upstaging
on Netflix
with a TV show.
A TV show that
only a fraction of the country have access to.
Rather see that
than Justice League.
Rather
the movie was a $300 million budget.
Didn't even make half that.
Made
like 90,000.
They only made $200 million back 3 weeks worldwide.
Yeah. That's one of those movies that's going to sell great in China or something just for the visual effects, and they're not even going to know any of the story that well.
It amazes me how rushed out DC throws these movies
just to get the Justice League movie, and then it wasn't even worth it.
Yeah, they're trying to take more leaps and bounds to get where they need to go, but like they can't skip those steps.
Yeah. Marvel did a whole 3-year thing before they did a whole lot of planning.
Think about how many movies there were
before the first Avengers. There's Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Avengers. 6 whole movies where they made character development for the 5 or 6 original Avengers,
and then still had some of the secondary characters fleshed out in there.
In the Iron Man movies, you got introduced to Nick Fury and Black Widow, and
Thor. You got Hawkeye.
Yeah, and Thor you met Hawkeye, and in Hulk you met Edward Norton, who you weren't gonna meet again. But that's okay.
Man, I heard that when that happened, he had some disagreement with Marvel.
Yeah, a lot of people when Marvel started and Stan Lee was still ahead of it, a lot of people had disagreements with it. Like the guy who was the original War Machine, they wouldn't let him put the suit on.
Oh yeah, well,
which is why he has that little wink
Cuba
at the end.
Gooding Jr.? No, that's not him.
That's not him. No. I forget what his name is, but they wouldn't let him put the suit on in the first movie, and he got so mad that they had a huge argument, and then now he's not even in it, and they have the other guy.
Yeah, I like that guy, though.
I like that guy better.
Yeah, I like him a lot
more.
But
that's why they have that little wink where he looks at the suit and he's like, not today. But he's all pissed. He was really pissed about it because he really
genuinely upset.
Because he's like, if I got cast as War Machine, I deserve the fucking suit.
I just thought it was good acting.
Yeah. I liked him when he was in the first one, and I thought the first Iron Man is one of the best of all of the Marvel movies they've made.
I'm amazed that something like that just took off the way it did. With Iron Man.
They're just like, Iron Man this year, and then at the end of the second one, which was the first Hulk movie, or the Incredible Hulk, they have the little Tony Stark talking to the general guy, and he's like, I want to make a team, and then you're just like.
Yeah,
it's happening.
I thought it was really not at first when you just see Iron Man when it just came out as just by itself. You sit there and you're like, okay, that's just one of those little teaser things.
Yeah.
Never in your how many years of life you've lived would
you
have
had
expected
no idea that you're gonna get a whole
that an actual Avengers movie was gonna happen.
You had no idea that they had it coming.
Yeah.
Then you had no idea that there was gonna be 4 Avengers movies.
Yeah. Nobody saw something like Marvel took the world by storm and completely shocked everybody.
Yeah, because they had such terrible Marvel movies. That Duck movie is the very first Marvel movie.
Howard the Duck?
Howard the Duck, directed by Steven Spielberg, is the first Marvel movie. That is not the way to start.
It's really not.
Marvel.
Well, I mean, humble beginnings, I guess.
Yeah, you got the Howard the Duck movie. You got the
Incredible
80s.
Hulk TV show made for TV movies.
I actually love the Lou Ferrigno Hulk.
I love
show.
everything about that show.
I love
That's
that
my favorite show.
I watched the whole entire Lou Ferrigno Hulk when the Incredible Hulk was coming out, and then there's that terrible Hulk movie. There's the
2003 one.
The one that's just called Hulk.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
With God, what's his name?
We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna be able to figure it out.
You're right.
We'll figure it out later and edit it in probably.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Eric Bana. That's
Eric
who
Bana.
it was.
That's funny. But, and then the terrible Punisher movie that's okay, but they changed his story a lot. And then the other terrible Punisher movie.
Wait, are you talking about the Thomas Jane one from like 2004?
2002.
Same difference?
Then there's, yeah, that one's okay.
Are you sure it's 2004?
Then there's the Warzone one.
Yeah.
Which that one is in like 2004. That's fucking
Yeah, I was
terrible.
I was really on the fence with that one.
I think it's awful. And then there's the 80s one where he doesn't even sport.
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, he doesn't even sport the fucking
skull.
Yeah, the skull and stuff. He just
like the most iconic.
The only thing that
Punisher.
The only way you know it's him.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just a really like handsome guy.
Yeah, and then
mowing down criminals.
Then they had a few other Marvel movies here and there that were terrible. And all of even the Justice League and all of that wasn't that like popular at the time when movies started coming out. Then all of a sudden Iron Man comes out of nowhere
and just blows everybody away. In your opinion, like if you had to come up with like off the top of your head top 5 Marvel movies in the MCU right now, could you do it?
Probably.
All right.
Probably be Avengers 1 would probably be pretty high up there.
Yeah.
The Iron Man 1 probably pretty high up there.
Right.
Probably Civil War as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Captain America 2 probably.
Ooh, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is pretty up there. Cause it just,
I really like the story.
It just took you in a dark place.
It perfectly sets up Civil War.
And I think Civil War, both 2 Captain America movies are on the list because Captain America all the way.
Absolutely.
And then probably Spider-Man, the Homecoming.
Those are most of those I would highly recommend, highly agree with, because I also think that those are in my top 5 too.
Probably all of them.
If I had to say like what I think are like the best out of all of them, like the top 5 would be.
And that's not even including the Fox ones.
Right, like not including the Fox ones, just the ones under Disney's rule. I would have to say that the best ones are obviously the first Iron Man, just because it was its own thing before it became like this huge thing.
That's why it's wonderful, because it could be either. It could be the path that you take, or it could be just its own thing.
Humble beginnings. In like its truest form. The second one, really good, really important one. I'd have to say Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty quintessential movie in their lineup.
I loved it both of them.
Because it came at a time where like I think everybody was feeling a little burned out.
Movies, because all the sequels weren't that good. Like the second Avengers wasn't.
Because like everything they were watching was like basically like the same thing.
Yeah, it was. That's why this whole new direction is wonderful.
So they had to. I really liked how Guardians of the Galaxy just came out of nowhere with its weird style.
Yeah, and I loved it. And then they just
reinvigorated everybody's interest.
And then it all took off again.
Obviously, the first Avengers.
Yeah,
I don't think it gets any better than the first Avengers.
The first Avengers just gave you everything you wanted.
I want to say it's honestly, I want to give this like a tie position, because the first and the second Avengers, I think, were so quintessential in certain different areas.
They just added so much characters and good development.
Like, I can recognize that the second Avengers wasn't as good as the first one.
I didn't like it as much, but I liked Ultron a lot. And I liked what happened in it. I just thought it dragged its feet with the story a lot.
Yeah, I felt like it was, not like in a big way, was like a little too subtly building up to the next Avengers. Like it was a little too quiet for itself, even though it had like really explosive moments.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like enough was going on. Like I felt there were too many slow moments.
I just thought the whole movie was really slow, and then even when it picks up, it didn't really pick up.
Even with a Quicksilver,
it's still a slow ass movie. Not even the coolest Quicksilver.
Nah, he gets killed off in that movie,
and then it's like nothing. But then Evan Peters just made an even better Quicksilver with the X-Men movies.
But I liked the scene with Hulk and Iron Man fighting.
Yeah, where he has the Hulk Buster.
Awesome.
That was great.
Like,
just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
I love the line Mark Ruffalo gives to Scarlett Johansson afterwards, like after that incident happened where the Scarlet Witch like blocked out Bruce Banner's link to the Hulk.
Yeah, and he just like destroyed everything.
He literally looks at her and is like, now you see what the Hulk really looks like. I was just like, oh snap.
Yeah, it's just a monster.
Like just the absolute brute force monster. If the
But
Bruce
then-
Banner persona wasn't there,
Yeah.
he would go on that rampage all the time.
And then he's just in Thor Ragnarok, just Hulk by himself. He's just like, oh, I'm a big kid now. Hulk take bath.
I like the development they're giving Hulk though.
Yeah, that's they're having his own story arc.
Yeah, like he's no longer like we don't see him as that.
He's
brutish
just
of a monster.
yeah.
Really,
He's
anymore.
just that Avenger that can break down the wall if they need it or fight the big bad guy. Now he has a character behind him.
Definitely, I feel like there's just so many positives and negatives to both sides.
Both Avengers.
Like with the first Avengers,
Just gives you everything you want.
you could say it's kind of weak on story.
Yeah, I mean they're
Just
on the
because-
helicarrier for so long,
Yeah,
and then they just fight at the end.
but there's so much
it's so
good
much
in it.
Yeah, it's just a better movie altogether than Justice League 1.
So you know what? I have to revise that. I want to say Avengers in the number 3 spot,
Mm-hmm.
but just as a little extra credit or like just a few scenes from Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Number 4, I would have to say is Civil War.
Yeah. It
Definitely.
felt like another Avengers.
Yeah,
It felt like
definitely,
it
yeah.
felt like it's everything that Avengers 2 could have been.
Yeah, I
Because
really
it had all of the characters that they brought into it, which was Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Mhm.
And Black Panther made his appearance, which was awesome. And they had a good story with Buck. It had the continuation of what was going on in the second Captain America.
Yeah.
And you had all
Civil
the
War
characters.
came out after Age of Ultron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why you have Scarlet Witch and Vision living at the compound.
That's right. And like honestly, it made sense why the Avengers Age of Ultron movie happened because that actually was able to successfully get rid of some of the biggest heavy hitters they had,
Yeah.
like mainly Hulk and Thor.
Which is because you can't just have a Civil War where you have either of them on, because if they're on the same side, then you're screwed.
Right.
And it makes sense that they wouldn't be in it because they're off doing their own thing in a different movie
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, like I think
It's set
the timeline goes Thor Ragnarok takes place
right after Avengers 2.
while Civil War is
Yeah,
happening.
that is how, because that's what.
Doctor Strange does the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why at the end of Doctor Strange, it's right when Thor Ragnarok's happening. Because he's talking to Thor in that one scene where he comes to Earth.
Civil War just as
I think
much as I can
Avengers
say.
2 just set up every other movie. Is
Yeah.
why it's so slow, because you didn't know that it was setting up Thor Ragnarok and a Civil War and Doctor Strange all at the same time.
But it was setting up a story that got everybody like on different sides of the room bickering at each other before the movie ever even came out.
Yeah, because nobody knew what was going to happen.
It was pretty mind-blowing, I think, in terms of the way it told its story. Because, like, some people can sit here and complain that it's a little flat in some areas and you can't really believe the conflict or whatever just based on what you've seen in this movie. But I think to the Marvel Cinematic Universe's credit, they take time over multiple movies to expand the history between these two different characters.
Which is amazing every time.
Exactly. And then by the time this conflict comes about,
Then you're 18 movies in.
you're so much more invested into the film, like what's going on, how it's working. I think
And then you realize you just don't see the bigger picture until more movies come out, and then the end of the phase happens, and then you watch them all again, and there's little tidbits that connect to all of them.
absolutely. And the last one I gotta say is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Spider-Man: Homecoming blows me away every time.
I
It's
think
just so much more original than the other two.
Yeah, like they
The exact same story.
They came out and did a lot of things that I honestly because I didn't know how they were going to introduce this guy.
I thought they were going to do the whole thing, the whole spill. You get bit by a spider, Oscorp.
But it literally takes
Bullshit,
place
but it literally-
right after
yeah.
Civil War.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, that happened. Oh, he already has powers. Oh, Uncle Ben's already dead. Oh, there's a younger Aunt May. It's wonderful.
You got a Chinese friend.
He's got a fat Chinese friend. Fucking MJ's fucking a black girl. Who cares? I love it. It's just all kinds of different.
I hate how they do that thing in movies where they have this character and they have her name and like she goes by a different name like most of the movie, and then like right at the end of the movie she
the
goes
same
by
thing
the
they
name
the same thing they did in Dark Knight Rises, where at the end he's like, oh, that's a nice name, Robin.
Oh,
and then he's just Robin the whole time.
I was
like,
are you serious?
There's just a little wink at the end, but that's much better in the first movie. At the end, there's like, oh, MJ, instead of at the last movie, there's like, oh, MJ, and then there's nothing more, because it's like, oh, Robin, you were Robin in the last Dark Knight Rises, but only in the last 30 seconds.
It's true.
But at least it's at the end of the first movie. And then it's like, oh, MJ's going to be in the next one, and now you know it's MJ, so he's going to be the love interest. I love the new Spider-Man more than all of them. I think it goes the newest Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, then Tobey Maguire.
I really
I hate Tobey Maguire.
Really?
I hate Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I liked it when I was younger.
I'm just nostalgic for that character.
The third one destroyed everything that...
Yeah.
Like Eric Foreman as Venom.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That's not the tough, scary Venom. It's fucking...
Well, you know, because you know how that went. You know how, like, Sam Raimi said multiple times that wasn't the movie they were going to make. Like, and then it was going to be just Sandman. Mm-hmm. And then the studios basically forced it upon him to put Venom in there because that's what the fans wanted. Yeah. So he had to shoehorn this guy in here when they were already most of the way through freaking production.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. That's what they just raped Spider-Man. But it's just, the third one is just such a god-awful movie that it just destroys any credibility that the first two had. Because the first two are okay. They're pretty good Spider-Man movies, but Amazing Spider-Man's...
They're okay for what they are.
Yeah.
They have their own problems, too.
Yeah.
I think if I had, like, best Fox movies or best, like, alternate movies...
I think if they just weren't 30-year-old people playing 16-year-olds, it wouldn't be such a weird-ass 90s movie.
I guess though, in their head, they were like, he's supposed to be Spider-Man. Yeah. So we gotta show the man part of him.
And then you pick Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Good choice.
Good choice.
Well, I mean, like, man. I think that's the point, though, because Peter Parker's supposed to be, like, a dweeb.
Yeah. That's why I like the young, like, 15-year-old acrobatic kid who's been training for this his whole life, and he's really fucking funny.
Yeah, he is. I like him. I think he's a good Peter Parker. I think he's a good Spider-Man.
I think that's who I have in my head now whenever I picture Peter Parker.
You know, they say that he's going to get replaced by the Miles Morales character.
Yeah, like the Black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that, though. And it's going to be like...
that was the first Spider-Man comic I ever started reading. The Ultimate Spider-Man with Miles Morales.
I like his character. There's lots and lots of Spider-Man stuff that we can get into later, and if the Sony sells it to Disney, too.
Yeah.
Because there's lots... The Spider-Man has its own little universe, too.
Yeah.
His is one of the most expansive. Because there's different Spider-Mans.
Because he's so fucking popular.
There's so many different ones. Like, they have the new Venom movie coming out.
There's the
wonderful
Clone
trailer.
Saga.
Yeah. They got the fucking...
Which is kind of butt.
Some of the best... Whatever. You got some of the best bad guys being Venom and Sandman and Carnage.
You have, like, some of the most iconic
Carnage is such a cool...
Carnage is my favorite. In comparison to Venom, I think I like Carnage a little bit more.
Of course.
Just because he's so much more crazy.
And, he's not just,
and threatening.
And Venom sometimes is a good guy. Carnage will never be a good guy.
No, Carnage is a freak.
He's just a monster who drill bits dogs.
Yeah, he's not nice. He is a blood-hungry
monster. Everywhere he goes, there's a homicide.
Dr. Octopus.
Wonderful. Rhino.
Yeah.
Vulture.
I can't think of the Rhino in a good light anymore because of Paul Giamatti and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
See, I didn't care much. I didn't really think it was that bad. I thought it was a good little wink.
I didn't think it was... I thought it was a little shoehorn there.
Yeah, by the preview, it looked like Rhino was going to be the main bad guy.
Yeah, like one of them at least.
Yeah, and then he's just a little piece at the end.
Yeah. Which is
how most superhero movies end, is they'll just have one little thing at the end to a different bad guy. Marvel.
Marvel movies, God, they just make up so much.
They're just wonderful.
Culture, I guess, in America right now.
And best of the Fox movies, probably Logan.
Definitely.
Probably Logan.
That's like, I think that movie that all the Fox movies as a whole have been culminating up to.
I know, it's wonderful. It just has...
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool and Logan, two of the best in the original X-Men, probably.
I guess...
Days of Future Past. It's wonderful.
That one's really good.
I didn't care much for Apocalypse. I liked the
Was
Wolverine.
Blade made by Fox?
I think so. Blade was good.
Blade was good.
I liked the first two. The
That was
third
like
one's
that was
okay.
like the first one too.
Yeah.
Of the Marvel movies that I
That's
guess
also one
started
of them,
the
yeah.
early 2000s phase.
I love Ryan Reynolds is pretty much Deadpool in that. In the third one.
In the
Blade
yeah, pretty
Trinity.
much.
He's pretty much just Deadpool with swords.
I feel bad for Ryan Reynolds as a superhero movie actor. He's
Until
got
he
such a shitty stick until this past Deadpool movie.
He was in
this
Blade
asshole
Trinity.
in Blade Trinity.
He was a terrible Green Lantern. It's actually not a bad movie. It just has bad CGI.
It was a bad movie with, I think, good actors.
Yeah. I think it was good. Like, I thought when I saw it when it first came out, I thought it was good, and then I watched it and I was like, that didn't age well.
Nah.
There's a few years that it was on the shelf.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel the worst that I'm glad I got a little bit publicized in the Deadpool movie was
the X-Men
Origins
Wolverine
Deadpool, where he played, not like in the beginning
He's
of the
like
movie.
Weapon X.
Yeah, in the beginning of the movie, he had the personality down. He was the merc with the mouth.
Yeah.
But why do you take that character with that name, with literally the personality he's known for,
And
then
cover up his mouth.
Yeah, and cover up his mouth, make him look nothing like the guy, give him powers that
Aren't
he never
his.
had.
Yeah.
All he was a good assassin.
Yeah.
Why
See,
is this the final boss?
If you just take Deadpool's name away and you just put like Weapon X in front of it instead,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Well,
if it was just Weapon X and he was just
Wolverine is technically Weapon X.
I know, but he like the Weapon X that kills like
I think he would be Weapon
X-23.
11.
Yeah, whatever the X whatever they had X-23.
X-24.
Yeah, 24. The one that kills him at the end. If it's just one of those Stryker experiments, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, just make up some bullshit.
Yeah,
Don't
that's why
waste another character.
That's what I just believe whenever I see it.
God, all those X-Men movies have the worst fucking continuity. It's a mess. It is a
That's
mess.
why they did Days of Future Past, because they're just like, wipe it clean, new story.
And then it doesn't matter in the long run anyway.
Yeah, because guess what? New story after that.
Yeah, and guess what else? Marvel owns us now.
Yeah, so guess what? Nothing matters.
I gotta be honest, when it comes to epic, like, action films, superhero movies always come to mind. But I try to think back to the times where there were other, like, big action adventure movies that kind of, like, stole the spotlight and that were, like, the bigger deals.
Such as?
You're probably gonna hate me, but
I'm gonna hate you.
The Rush Hour trilogy.
Don't even. Those are all not good movies.
But you gotta admit, though, it's a pretty funny adventure they go on.
I watched the first one again at one of my friend's house recently, and I just did not laugh at all.
You didn't like it at all?
No, I just didn't laugh the entire time. Like, I was just like, heh, Chris Tucker.
All right.
Remember him? Jackie Chan in an action movie? No shit.
Alright, how about... I guess I'll go a little bit more mainstream. Indiana Jones.
Of course, wonderful. Probably Star Wars.
Star Wars, definitely. Like,
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
And then they got terrible at
It
the
got
end.
really bad. I don't know if I can call that enjoyable.
Just the first one is good. Good action movie.
The second one, I like the second and the third. I like
Die
the
Hard with
original
Vengeance.
trilogy. Die Hard with a Vengeance with Samuel L. Jackson was
Pretty
really
good.
funny.
Walks down the street with the N-word on his
in
thing.
Harlem.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That was awful. I loved it though.
I loved it. It was so bad.
Funny. Yeah, I think when it comes to like,
just Marvel is all that comes to mind recently.
Yeah, because like they dominate the market, I guess, in that sense. Like whenever like
Warner
I said
Brothers
earlier,
is just sucking a big in.
Oh, fuck Warner Brothers.
Fuck Warner Brothers.
Like they're getting their shit together eventually, I think, because they said after the horrible results of Justice League that they're gonna end up reshuffling everything.
Either just ending it or making it new.
Yeah. Predator movies.
Love them.
Those are really good.
The Predators, not that good. AVP 1 and 2, great.
I was watching that movie, and I kind of got to a point where I was just like, I tune out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This doesn't really do anything for me as like the first 2 Predator movies did.
Yeah. I
Those
like the Alien movies more though.
Yeah. What's your favorite Alien movie?
Aliens, the second one.
That's a really good one.
It's just by far one of the best movies. It's just all around a good movie because
suspenseful. Action's really great.
Then instead of having one alien like you had in the first one, you have thousands,
which
and Sigourney
really ups the ante.
Sigourney Weaver waking up 70 years later, all of her family's dead.
Yeah, but you gotta admit though, when Alien 3 rolls around, they kind of
do the same.
For lack of a better phrase, shit on everything that took place in Aliens. Like the little girl died, the android died.
I thought it was a good end to the series if they weren't just going to redo it again.
And then what did they do?
And then they redid it again.
With Alien Resurrection.
And then they redid it again after that.
Oh my god.
Prometheus is bad, but Alien Covenant was really good.
Yeah, but you hear the arguments where they're like,
if you look
Prometheus isn't actually part of the Alien story.
It is, though.
But it takes place on 2 different moons.
There's a whole timeline though that
no, like I'm saying,
from Prometheus,
it likely feeds into it.
It does.
But I've heard talks amongst like fans and I think Ridley Scott, where they say that this is just trying to open up the vastness of the universe to say that these aliens. Now, when I saw it, I took it as this is like the first of the aliens starting to like migrate, multiply, or reproduce into the aliens that we all know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way that they meant you to take it was we're expanding the universe and we're showing you, because like the alien race that had the aliens, like
the engineers.
Yeah, the engineers.
They didn't really. They made us, and then a bacteria on the planet created the aliens, and they are symbiotes. Or like they're parasites, so they have to have a life form to live off of, which is us. And then in the second one, which is Alien Covenant, the robot who survived, he has been experimenting on and just playing with and making his own creation, which is the perfect xenomorph. And then the next one is going to lead up. At the end of that one, will lead up into the first movie, how they got to LV-426. Because it's a crashed engineer ship, which is the same thing that they've been flying in Prometheus and in Alien Covenant.
Regardless, though, great series.
Wonderful.
If you had to honest to God say, because you know the Alien versus Predator movies came out
in their own universe, pretty much.
Yeah, like a separate, I guess you could say like a separate reality. Because that's what a lot of people say, or it's just because it's something that's out of continuity with the regular movies.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to, honest to God, say who would win in a fight, Alien or Predator?
I think an Alien would probably win.
Like if you were to put up, I guess, because the aliens work better in groups.
Yeah.
If you were to have, I want to say, 20 aliens
versus
5 predators.
That's what I was gonna say. Probably it would end with one predator versus one alien, and then that predator would probably win.
Really?
Yes. But if you had just like, I think 1-on-1 the predator would win, and if aliens had multiple friends to work with, they would win.
That's true.
Because they overpower real easy.
How about this? Alien Queen versus like the head.
Like the king of predators?
Yeah, like the king, like the head hunter.
I think the head hunter would probably win. Because they usually have lots of tricks up their sleeves with their discs and their traps and whatnot.
It's like something, like a predator so experienced.
He's just like the emperor of all hunting.
Like he is literally the top tier, most like the predator on his planet.
Like he's got the most tattoos and the most skulls in his collection.
Okay. So the predators are basically like hunters and
warriors, and they have like honor and bullshit.
But they also have like all this like high
Remarkable
advanced
technology.
Like they have so many good advancements in hunting technology. They can literally camouflage themselves.
Yeah.
They see in infrared.
What if they have little dweeby predators who make all of the like the
Like
skinny
the-
ones are the ones that
the
make
guys
all the
that don't
technology.
make it,
Yeah,
like,
the predator
warrior
training
predators.
camp. They're the ones that are making all the cool shit.
Oh my god.
Little dweeby like skinny ones that are just behind a desk.
Nerditors.
Yeah, like nerd alert.
Oh my god. Okay, so knowing all that cool stuff about predators, who do you think would win in a fight? A predator or Boba Fett?
Probably a predator, because Boba Fett can be a pussy. He died pretty shitty. If he died from a blind Han Solo, you're not that good of a character.
That's true. Okay, I guess when it came to horror-related movies, I guess like Predator and Alien,
Where it's just gory, actiony.
the best ones that I always enjoyed were the Friday the 13th movies.
Of course.
And I guess like any of those slasher movies that were kind of commercialized to just be exploitive.
Yeah.
Like Friday the 13th, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
They just go on forever and then end and then not really.
Like they're basically the same as like any of those other epic stories, that we just got through talking about. Except it's so
They
much...
didn't have a plan. They just ran with it and kept just adding and adding and adding when it didn't even make sense and just gave what
like they just threw whatever weird shit they could
and just hoped it would sell.
Yeah, and just got it to sell. And kept doing it until they ran the thing into the ground.
Yeah, and then they'll just have reboots later.
Honestly, I heard that they're making a Friday the 13th reboot again.
I'm positive it'll happen
I
multiple times over.
I hope it'll be better than the 2009
See,
remake.
I enjoyed it.
I didn't.
I thought that it was just the same as most of the other ones, but a modern tone of like actual horror where you might jump a little bit because if you haven't, there's cool traps that he uses.
That's true.
There's cool gore that he does. It's just a modern version of everything. Like it's better than most of the like later ones. Like Jason takes Manhattan. Bullshit. Not even in Manhattan the whole time.
That's true.
The one where Jason's not even in it. Jason goes to hell or whatever. He's not even. Yeah, he's not even in it.
That's because like
there's like 3 in the middle that are exactly the same and have no point in being there.
I can explain.
I'm
like a guru. I tried to do Friday the 13th.
But I like the one where he's not in it because they add mythology to his character and stuff.
That's
but
true.
I feel like they did it so many times that even the reboot, which was exactly the same as all the other ones, was just as good.
Well, like because it was a summarization of like all the major plot points throughout the Friday the 13th series. Well, the reason that Jason was never like really in the 9th film was because
I watched a documentary on it, but I forget why.
Paramount had owned the rights to Friday the 13th all the way up from the first one to the 8th one. But then like the 8th one tanked. And then
Which most of them did.
Well, no, they actually made some successful money.
I know,
but around like I think like the 7th one, they weren't making really much any money. Nobody was really interested anymore. And then they made the really expensive New York one that was so expensive they only had like 30 minutes in New York.
Yeah, because it was so terrible.
Yeah, and so they were like, Friday the 13th makes no money for us anymore.
I'm selling it.
So they sold it to New Line Cinema. But I think like the rights that they sold were so wacky. What would happen was, if I remember correctly, New Line Cinema owned the rights to use the Jason character, but they did not own the rights to Friday the 13th
as a whole.
Visuals.
That's why it's called like Jason Goes to
that's
Hell
why
and
it's
nothing
not called
else.
Friday the 13th Part 9.
I think I remember that.
They had to not show Jason as much because apparently the way the rights worked at that point in time,
he could only be his short cameo character.
Yeah,
and
like
not have his own movie.
He has to only be in like the first 5 minutes of the opening, and then be in like the last like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and that's why he's like
because otherwise they would have had to pay out money to Paramount. But eventually, I think they got those rights eventually resolved. They eventually got those rights resolved with, you know, years and years later.
And then eventually we got
Freddy
Jason,
versus Jason,
which was top 5 of all of them.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, forgettable cannon fodder characters, but
I mean, like, I thought just to get them to fight.
It's worth it.
Because, I mean, like, in the first place, you want to see these characters. You're
Always,
familiar with these characters.
They had the awesome before fight interviews like they did for boxing. Hilarious.
Freddy versus Jason is better than Batman v Superman.
Yes.
Sadness.
That is the sadness that is life. But that is a good...
I guess that's movies for you. You know, you win some, you lose some. You go into some expecting much more, get a lot less. Go into something expecting nothing, getting a lot more.
Yeah, it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, and it's different for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Marvel movies have been doing good. Star Wars movies have been doing good.
Hopefully, DC gets its head out of its ass.
I don't think they will. I think they'll just stop and sell it.
Maybe.
We'll have Justice League versus Avengers.
They're still doing good in like comic sales.
Yeah.
I think it's Warner Brothers is the problem. They're losing the most money on this because they're, you know, the producers and distributors. Well, Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you this week.
Yeah. Lots of Marvel movie topics.
Yep. For anybody listening, give your own opinions based on the stuff we've discussed here today. Your own comments, opinions, theories about any of the movies we discussed here. I always love hearing stuff like that. I always love learning something new I have never observed before.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. But that does it for this week. Hope everyone is safe and have a good night.
Have a good night, bud.